I hit the go live button and I was just waiting there for this to start. And then turns out I didn't actually hit it. Oh, I just find myself so funny. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Ask a Clutter Boss, the internet's best weekly decluttering advice show. Madonna, so nice to see you here today. If you're joining us live, please say hi in the comments. So it's Tuesday in June. It's June 10th. There's every so often I'm coaching somebody and we're talking through something, and I realize that there's something I've been doing in my own life that would help other people that I've never even talked about before. And so this is one of those times where this morning was responding. Hello, Nicole. Hello, Christine and Dawn. I was responding to one of my accountability clients, and we were talking about when life is really busy, like how do you manage? And I know last week or 2 weeks ago, on this Ask a Clutter Boss show, I was talking about there's two types of busy, right? There's the everyday seasonal busy, like the busy we can expect the end of the school year, the holidays. We have some flow to our seasons of life. And seasons of the year where we sometimes just have busier days and times. Those are like normal busy. They're still busy, but they're not a time to completely stop doing all of the stuff that is a priority. And then there's like emergency busy times where we are just, walloped by life and we truly cannot do anything except keep our head above the water and just make it through the best that we can. So anything that we can do during normal busy to set ourselves up for success and create an easier home that is easier to manage and functions well, that's going to help us so much during, as Coach Amy says, when life gets lifey. But if you're in a busy season, whether it's no matter what type of busy it is, there is a concept that I apply to my own life and home when things are very busy. And that is, and it says, I might reveal a little dorkiness right now. I call it MVT. So there's a thing in business called MVP, minimal viable product. And MVP means we're going to put a product out. We're going to make it very basic, but we're going to make it so that we can gather data about what makes it good, what makes it bad, what would make it better. So it's kind of like a test phase. Like we want to have a minimal viable product, like just enough of a good product, but not with all the bells and whistles. Like we just want to test it to see where we need to go, how we can make it better. Like what's the minimal viable product that we can put out to gather data from? Is anyone familiar with minimal viable product? Or again, so in my house, I've applied that concept and I call it minimal viable tasks. What are the minimal tasks that I need to do to create like a viable living environment for myself and my family and to make it through the day and to not get way, way, way behind after this busy season is over? So I have kind of a list in my head of my minimal viable tasks that I need to do when things are really busy. And it can be helpful to really understand what your minimum viable tasks can be in your house. So when life gets lifey, when you're in a busy season, when, S hits the fan, like you can make it through and not be on the other side of that super far behind. Like you don't have an overwhelming amount of stuff that you need to come home to. It's almost like when you go on vacation, it's nice to like leave your house tidy and orderly so you don't walk into a messy house and you're tired from vacation. And like vacations are great before vacations, but after vacation, a lot of times it's just exhausting. You don't want to come home to a home that needs all this stuff done right when you walk through the door. Or even, dishes zero, getting your dishes done every single day. So when you wake up in the morning, you wake up to no dishes in the sink. Like it really makes a big difference. So during busy times, I have a kind of running list in my head of my MVT, my minimal viable tasks. What has to happen no matter what on a regular basis so that I can keep my head above the water when everything else around me feels like it's just sinking. So my minimal viable tasks, my MVTs, are doing the dishes. Like if I can get those dishes done every single day, that is hugely helpful no matter what. And it's something that does not take that much time. At the end of the day, no matter how tired I am, I push myself to get that kitchen done. And sometimes I'll ask for help if I need help. Last night, my older daughter helped out with the dishes because I just needed it done. And I knew that I wasn't going to be able to get it done easily last night, but I could ask for help. But dishes done, laundry, I don't have to have my laundry put away if it's a very busy season. But I do need to have it washed. So just staying up, doing a load of laundry every day, that's a minimum viable task for me to just manage. Another thing that I do when things are really busy is I don't make my bed. So true confessions here. Like if there is an insanely busy time, I just skip right over that task. It's not an MVT. I don't need it done to manage through really, really lifey times. I also really simplify our meals. So if I have a super busy time that I know about that's coming up, I will meal prep more in advance. I will absolutely go down to the basic, most simple meals, uh, pasta with red sauce, something like that, like just really simple, easy. Omelets, that's another easy one for us that feels nutritious, simple, easy. And we can eat omelets every single night if it's an MVT time, if we're just trying to keep our heads above the water. I just, in general, have this list of things that are my bare minimum essential so that when things ease up, because yesterday on Monday Morning Motivation, we talked about how it's all a phase. When we get through this phase, whether it's one day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, I'm not so far behind the 8 ball that I can't possibly catch up. And that when that has happened to me in the past, that's really sparked some deep depressive episodes. And I don't want to do that anymore. So this is really a helpful concept for me to just know what I need to do during a busy time to not feel completely behind when that busy time is over. So that's the concept of MBT. I once again don't know why I've never shared this before, but it is something that is very, very helpful. I also, in general, I've taken my experiences with testing out like what needs to stay and what needs to go in terms of tasks and routines and habits and stuff when I'm very busy. I've tested out a lot of things, and some things have actually just kind of stuck. There was one very busy season where I just stopped wearing makeup, and that's pretty much stuck. So that's actually made my life a lot easier on a day-to-day. I've found extra time. I have decluttered most of my makeup. It's things like that, clothing, right? Like when things are really busy, I'm wearing the same stuff over and over again. Turns out I do that all the time. And it's having these periods where I've really stripped down to the bare minimum has helped me figure out what can just generally go in my life. When it comes to exercise and things like that, one thing I try and do when I'm having an MVT is I try to not give up certain habits completely because I know how hard it is to restart them. So if I was doing like an hour-long walk with my dog every day and then a busy season or episode hits, I try not to go to 0. I try to go to like 15 minutes instead of an hour. So I still can maintain the habit without it being super time consuming. Does this work 100% of the time? No. But the more I try and the more I tweak it, the better it gets and the more success I have over the long run. So sometimes when, another thing I do when it's an MVT time is I will use paper plates. Like I will just try and reduce my dish load completely by using paper plates. I mean, you got to get through it, right? Without it setting you back. And knowing what your minimum viable tasks are for busy times just makes it so when the time frees up in the future, you are able to catch right back up to where you left off. So just a concept to share. And I'll just stop for a second. Is this making sense? Like I said, this is revealing a little bit of my super dorky, nerdy side, but applying these concepts to my life has been really, really helpful. Let me say hello in here. We have so many people joining us. Let's see. Madonna, Nicole, Dawn, Christine, Karen, Susan, Terry, Sherry, Lorene, Mitzi, Yelena, Emily. Nice to see you guys here this morning. So if you have a minimum viable task in your life, something that has to get done no matter what, I would love to know what it is. Like, what is the one thing that you have to do? There's also things that as you are decluttering, you can make your life so much easier in the future by setting up certain stuff. So for example, I did at one point go through every single person who was sending us mail, like every single company, and call them and ask to get onto the do not mail list. I have worked very hard to make all of my bills go on auto pay, and just to reduce the amount of mail coming in, because mail is something that can really pile up. And that might be part of your MVT is when you have a very busy time, you don't let the mail get behind. For a lot of people, that's really helpful. But when you are in a phase where you're decluttering and really focused on getting stuff out and getting systems into place, getting your mail onto like autopilot can be huge. It can be huge because then when a busy time happens, you're not worried about the mail piling up. Hey, DA, nice to see you. And Anne is here too. Hello, hello. So that's the concept of minimum viable tasks. Also, if you're traveling a lot, Anne, you made me think about this. Emily too, if you're traveling a lot, having those minimum viable tasks that you have to do, I think before you leave and when you come home can be really, really helpful. So when I come back from traveling, one of my immediate, I have to do this, otherwise I'm going to be behind, is I have to unpack my suitcase. I have to clean out my car. Otherwise, I feel so behind for so long. So there's certain they're kind of like habit stacks or just must do's at the end of a recurring event to make it so that the next event feels better. Oh, here's another one. Taxes. Do you have a system in place for managing your tax season next year? It took me a while to get this one under control, but just having in mind the minimum that I need to do on a monthly basis to make tax season manageable, I make sure to get it done, because otherwise I know that's going to be one of those times where I feel stressed, I feel overwhelmed, I feel behind. Yeah. Yes. MVT. Some days I brush teeth and I do one Clutter Boss blueprint task. I love that. And then my MVT is making the bed, kitchen zero, hygiene, and self-care. Yeah. What do you have to do to get through the really busy times? So if you have more ideas about MVTs and what works for you, please share them in the comments. If you're watching on replay, definitely let us know in the comments what works for you, what could work for you. And don't be afraid to write this down. I mean, having a list that you can just check off every morning when you're feeling really overwhelmed, really busy, really drowning, just look at that list. I have to do this, and this, and then I'm good to go. And then the next day you wake up, this, and this. I'm good to go. Whatever happens now can happen because I've hit my MVTs for the day. All right, my friends, it's been so, so wonderful to see you. Are there any questions? Related to MVT or not? We can talk about something else. That was really all that I had for today. But if there's any questions, I can hang out for a minute or two and, of course, share. Okay, here's a little food for thought while I see if there's any questions in here. I haven't talked about fear for a long time, but I want to encourage everybody who's watching this. Fear is something that holds us back from letting stuff go, holds us back from moving on, holds us back in all different areas of our life. We have a little phrase at Clutter Boss, and this is a non-religious phrase, but it is replace fear with faith. And that means faith that in the future, the universe will provide for you when you need it to. So if you're hanging on to stuff because of a fear-based motivation, what if I need this in the future? I'm afraid that if I let this go, there's going to be a negative consequence. Whatever that might be. Those are fear-based motivations. If you can replace those with faith, I am scared of letting this go, but I'm confident that when the time comes, if I need something like this, it will be available to me. I'm just faith that in the future, the universe will provide. You will provide for yourself because you're a badass and a boss, and you have all it takes to make it through to the next thing, period. You can do it. You can absolutely do it. Faith in yourself, faith in the universe, replacing those fear-based motivations with some, real confidence the world will provide, can be really helpful. So, all right, I see no questions coming in. So I just want to say thank you for joining me live today. It's wonderful to see you all y'all, and go out there and crush it. Go crush it. Take back your home, take back your space. Ooh, my favorite books on decluttering. Current favorite books. That's a tough one, Madonna. I'm actually, so I'll tell you what I'm reading right now. I'm very critical of decluttering books or organizing books. I think there's some little tidbits that are good in a lot of them, but there's also some really missed opportunities to expand on topics that are really important. Or there's just some information that I feel is, yeah. I am reading the history of I forget what it's called, like the history of rooms. It's a deep historical dive into the spaces in our home, and how they kind of came to be and what existed and didn't exist over time. It's a English book, so the author is English. She's a historian in England, and she just really goes through like how people lived through different periods of time and what emphasis was placed on what room, and what rooms existed or didn't exist. And I mean, it's interesting because the wardrobe, the closet, right, used to be a spot where kings and queens and noblemen would entertain people, like it was a actual space for socialization and like maybe some political things happened in those spaces, but they were rooms that were used very differently than what we use them for today. Just sort of fascinating history book right now. So the history of how we use our space, that's what I'm kind of interested in at the moment, and really understanding, in our homes. This is a totally different topic, but it's related to this question. So thank you for making me think with your question. Yeah, older homes had unique storage spaces. Well, first of all, older homes have much less storage spaces because there was much less stuff, period. So that's a really interesting thing to remember, that all throughout human history, we managed to get by with much less than what we have right now. And not just get by, but thrive. So that's, good food for thought. But I'm really interested in the changing use of space in our homes. Formal dining rooms, formal living rooms, those type of spaces, are they really still necessary? And it can be hard when you have when you have a room that has a specific function, but you don't have that matching function in your life. And that creates a little bit of friction in your decluttering and organizing efforts, because your idea is to leave the space like a formal living room as a formal living room. But for your home to really support your life right now, it might make it a lot more sense to have that be a craft room or an exercise space or an office or something that really matches the activities that you need right now. We actually have one room in our house that it was a dining room. Now it's a living room. We're almost never in that room. I would like to turn it into something different. But other people that I live with are opposed to that idea. So it's just basically an unused room right now. It looks nice. It's a nice looking room. That's great. My sister-in-law slept on the couch in there, so that's great. It could be overflow sleeping, but nobody's using it for its intended purpose. And I think that's kind of silly. I don't like that. So I'm very curious about space, having your space in your home reflect what's going on in your life. And a lot of things along that thread changed during COVID when we all were working from home and all of that. And there's still that impact is there, a couple of years later. So that's just a curiosity of mine and something I like to talk about with my clients and just think about in general. Anywho, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. Thank you for that food for thought, Madonna. And I want to say, yeah, so fascinating. Absolutely. Um, Go crush it, you guys. Go crush it. We're rooting for you every day, every second of the day. Go make this life the life that you want. You can do it. All right. With love, signing off now.